and then you can get 1 point per dollar as well. If you spend $2,000 in rent, you're going to get 2,000 points.
Okay, I live in New York, so it's a little more than that, but I I
Yeah.
get I catch your drift. So for those that may not know what travel hacking is, I feel like we got to go base right now. What is travel hacking at its very foundation?
Yeah, so it's basically the act of using or maximizing credit card points for free travel. And that's typically in the form of a flight or a hotel or both. And you're able to just maximize your experiences, right? Without breaking the bank. That's the general concept.
And how long has this concept been around?
I think it's been around for a long time. It's a very broad subject, a very broad topic. And so I've had clients who have told me they've done this for decades now, 10, 20, even 30 years. And I stand to gain a lot from learning from those interactions. And they're still learning from me, someone who's done it, not to say the shortest amount of time. I've done it for almost 8 years now, but that just goes to show, right, that it's a two-way conversation always, and people are always learning. I'm always learning, and the space is vast.
So bring me back to 8 years ago. What made you decide that this was going to be something that you were going to spend time on?
Yeah, so I was still in college 8 years ago, and I was having a conversation with a friend and their friends, and I just overheard the topic about points and miles for travel hacking, getting all these free vacations, and I was just like, how do I do it? And so I started looking into it and read up copious amounts of resources, blogs, podcasts, whatever, you name it, newsletters, and then I just stumbled into it because there's so much information. So I just started going that route, and then eventually was able to amass a small fortune of points to be able to take my first trip on points.
So net, you are essentially gaming the system. Is that an accurate way to put it?
I wouldn't maybe put it in that perspective. I would say that there's nothing illegal about doing the stuff that we do, points and miles. It's there to encourage people to utilize, credit card services, and then as an incentive, you're able to get all these free perks. The key in that is that you're maximizing the value of the points that you're earning, and then you're also maximizing the way you redeem those points to stretch out each point to the farthest value, the highest value you can get. So I wouldn't say it's gaming the system. It's just making sure you're playing the right game, and you are in the right track in terms of maximizing what you have
So
available to you.
I read your posts every day, and you've done like amazing things for your clients because now you have clients who are leveraging your superpower. What would you
Right.
say has been like the biggest leverage that you've ever pulled off with travel hacking and using points?
In relation to my clients, or is it stories about myself?
Yourself, your clients, pick the most
Yeah.
outlandish story, hard to believe story.
Yeah, sure. So I would say I'll actually touch on a couple of things, but the first one would just be my very first travel hack on points and miles, right? So I told the story about how I started, just listening to people talk about it, just stumbling upon myself and blogs and things like that. And so I was collecting points for about a year, not in the best way. I was still very, very new to this, very, very novice level. And then I graduated basically as a broke college student, no savings, started my first job, and then eventually we met my partner in college, and then we got married. And so we were trying to, as we were leading up to the wedding and the honeymoon, we're trying to basically plan our honeymoon. And it was one of the things that came up was, can we use points for this, right? Because we've been collecting all these points. And so one of my very first major hacks within points and miles was actually booking a honeymoon to Hawaii for free. Basically, it was like a week, and it wasn't like we couldn't afford it. The whole trip would have cost us about $5,000 to $6,000, but it's
Mhm.
still a lot of money for newly, weds and fresh graduates. So we used points to basically book one of the nicest hotels in Maui, which was really nice. We got 2 free tickets on United round trip
Wow.
from Dallas to Hawaii and then back, and then a couple more days in Honolulu. And I would tell you that I actually have a post coming up that that trip was by far, like not a very good redemption value trip. Like the points that I did, redeemed was not great, but it was one of my most memorable trips because it was my first. Like I never experienced that kind of a luxury, paying now the rates for those hotels are now over $1,000 a night, right? And we got them for free, and we used about 200, I think maybe 200,000 points or something like that.
Mhm.
So it wasn't the best redemption, but it was definitely the first, taste into this world of travel hacking, using points and miles to get to maximize experiences. And it was very, very rewarding. And I never looked back since then.
Well, I had the Chase Sapphire card for exactly that reason because you can put your rent on there, you can put, all of your Ubers on there, and you can rack up those points very quickly. What card are you loving right now for exactly that purpose?
Yeah, I love the Chase cards, so I always have them handy. And for earning points, I'm actually maximizing both my Hyatt cards right now, the personal card and the business card, just because I am trying to build status on the Hyatt platform and the Hyatt loyalty program, and it is highly rewarding once you hit the highest status, which is stay for 60 days a year, either through spend or stays, and you get incredible benefits through it.
Yeah, I
And
have the Chase Hyatt card too.
yeah, yeah. And lastly, the other one is I do have the Amex Platinum card strictly for lounge access. I don't really spend that much money on there. When I book flights, they give you 5 points per dollar,
Yeah.
5 Amex points, which is nice, but mainly for the lounge access and all the perks it has to offer.
I mean, the food's just better in lounge. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with that.
So good. It's so good.
What do you think most people miss? I mean, I'm probably fall into that category up until I started following you of things that people miss because they're busy, they're working, they're not paying attention, they may not have the swaths of time to really do the research. What's one way to kind of fast track all the benefits that you enjoy as a result of having studied the space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that most people, when it comes to points and miles, there are two leaky buckets that most people face. One, which is the first half of the puzzle, is maximizing your earnings. The types of points that you're earning and the types of cards that you're using, and people are usually not optimized. Maybe they're earning the wrong types of points, that they're not earning points at all. They're using debit cards or ACHs, bank transfers instead of credit cards. So figuring out which cards to use to earn the maximum amount of points, but also not just any point, but the right point, the right types of points for you. Because someone could be earning merit points, but they don't stay at merit properties. So what is the point of that, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first leaky bucket, and then the second leaky bucket is just really once you have those points, how do you redeem it for maximum value? And that typically takes a longer time because it's kind of a learning experience. I'm still learning, and there's so much to learn in this space. But I think those are the two main buckets that you focus on, and things like taking a course. I have a low, very very reasonable course that just teaches you the foundations of how to pick a rewards program, and just focus on that, and that fixes the first half of your problem, right? And then the second half is just you just got to do it just like how I did my first major trip honeymoon, and I've never looked back since then.
I've downloaded your course. And so what I'm hearing you say when you're talking about the first leaky bucket, which is not using the card for travel, i.e., buying your next flight on Delta through the card versus using your bank card, because that purchase translates into 5x the amount of points. That's what I'm hearing you say, right?
Exactly. And then also identifying which points work best for you based on your
Travel
location,
style.
what airport you're based in, and then yeah, exactly your travel style. So which destinations you frequent, where is your next trip, things like that. Because I worked with an entrepreneur, for example, who just had Delta Amex cards, but he lived in a city that was primarily American Airlines, and the Delta cards weren't really getting him that much value anyway from a earnings perspective. So why would you have Delta cards? Well, it's because he had it for 20 years and never thought about it, just focused on making money, which is great. But if you just spent an hour or two optimizing that portfolio, it's a one-time thing, right? Just optimize your portfolio, and then it's maybe 20 to 30 minutes of just review every year of, okay, am I still earning the right points? You can maximize that so much more.
Now, there's the option on the Chase Sapphire card for me to take the points that I've accumulated and transfer that to Delta. But is that the best use of your points?
Yeah, so typically there's always an exception, but there are ways. What you're talking about is one of those flex points, right? So there are 4 to 5 major flexible point systems, and that just means that you can take those points and transfer them or convert them to a flight, an airline miles or hotel points, right? Of
Right.
different systems, as long as they are travel partners with the flexible point system. So, namely, you have Chase, Amex, Capital One, Citi, Built Card. Those are 5 of the main flexible point systems, and each of them have unique travel partners. Airlines. Chase, you can transfer to United, for example. You mentioned Amex, you could transfer to Delta. And so that is one of the ways that you can redeem points. And that's typically my preferred way that I teach my clients and students to do it, because if you're redeeming for travel, transferring to partners and then booking direct with the airline or hotel typically maximizes your value. Not always
Mhm.
the case, but most of the time.
Got it. What I saw you pull off some amazing things for someone who was going to Japan, but if we were going to bring it all the way to brass tacks, someone's just starting on their journey of accumulating points. How do you get to 200,000, 300,000 in short order?
Yeah, so there are a few ways to do it. I primarily serve two different clienteles. One is, your more early career, just like I was when I was out of college and things like that. And basically, the second group of people are high net worth individuals. They're spending a ton of money. They're business owners. $20,000 a month on cards, or even up to 100,000 or $500,000, right, a month on cards, which is crazy, but they are out there. So I would say to the first group of people, the quickest way to earn points is through sign up bonuses and referral bonuses, right? So you're trying to banks incentivize you, or credit card companies incentivize you to sign up for their products, so that you use the products, and then they make money through transaction fees, interest, whatever it is. And they typically give out very lucrative sign up bonuses. So Chase right now is doing 75,000 points for the Sapphire Preferred or the Sapphire Reserve, and you could do that. You get 75,000 points, and that's equivalent to over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I've done probably more than that before with 75,000 points. And then the other thing is you can play the two-player mode, which is if you have a partner, a significant other, you're married, whatsoever, you could refer your significant other, and they can get the second bonus, and you get a referral bonus as
Oh,
well, right? So that is a huge unlock for a lot of people when they're trying to gain a lot of points and book a trip, maybe 6 months out, 9 months out. But then obviously for both parties, the ones who are just starting out, not don't have $20,000 a month of spending, or the ones who have $20,000 a month of spending. It's just optimizing your daily purchases, your expenses, your portfolio to make sure that you're getting the maximum amount of points. You're earning the maximum amount of points that you can. And one of those ways for people, especially who are renting, just get the built card. It's a
Yeah.
no-brainer card, and you get 25,000 points every single year just for free.
And sorry, which card is that again? The Delta Amex card?
So the one for the rent is the
Yeah.
built card, BILT. It's a
Oh,
Mastercard, and it basically allows you to pay one rent transaction a month for your primary rent bill,
yeah.
and you get 1 point per dollar spent without any fees. So typically, if you have a landlord, they charge you rent. If you pay with credit cards, they charge a 2.95, three point
Yeah.
five percent fee.
3%.
So it's quite high, but Built allows you to pay that with a credit card with no fee and earn 1 point per dollar.
It's
And that,
amazing.
yeah, exactly. And even if your landlord doesn't take electronic payments, you have to write a physical check. You can set that up through Built and still get points, which is crazy. Like they will every month you set when the check goes out, they will mail a physical check to your landlord so that and then you can get 1 point per dollar as well. If you spend $2,000 in rent, you're gonna get 2,000 points.
Okay, I live in New York, so it's a little more than that, but I
Yeah.
I catch your drift. All right, so what is the question I should be asking you that I haven't asked you? I know you've distilled all of your knowledge into a course. It's a two-parter. A, what's the question I should be asking you that I haven't asked you? And second of all, how do people find out about you and leverage your talents?
Yeah, a question that you should be asking in the sense of travel hacking or just in general.
And so it's travel hacking, like what is it that I should have asked you that I haven't?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, um, hmm, I think it's really just, if you're starting out and you're looking to travel hack, just figuring out what are the best ways to get started is crucial. And I think for me, I think you kind of asked that question. And I kind of answered part of it, but I wanted to add more to it, which is there are a lot of ways that you can learn this as a beginner starting out. There are tons of blogs out there, copious amounts of resources, YouTube videos, Instagram posts, TikTok videos, whatever it is. And the thing is, though, that I found that was challenging was that all those blogs, the newsletters, the YouTube videos, they come in and they don't give you a good foundation. And so it's typically for people, it's very useful for people who are already established in this space. They've done this for a while, they know what's going on, they know the lingo, but I haven't really found that many resources that do step by step teach you from the ground up and then simplify it for you.
Mhm.
That's the main thing. Less is more when you start. And so that's kind of why I created the Points Academy course that I have, which is just a 1.5 hour thing that it doesn't teach you everything because I'm still learning after 8 years. People are still learning after 30 years. But if you were to maximize your time within 1 to 2 hours to to get from 0 to 80%, find my advice is to find something like a course. It doesn't have to be my course, but something out there that gives you that foundation quickly and
Mhm.
not just like throw you into the fire and oh, here's how you do business class to Japan, and there's 35 different reward systems or airline points that you can get. Focus on, instead of that, just focus on, okay, one, two, or three rewards programs that you need to find, and then go for it. And so finding resources like that, my course is one of them. You could, if you find something else out there that's like that, I would recommend those versus just going to a blog and trying to figure it out on your own.
Is there any one YouTube channel or TikTok channel or Instagram that you're loving right now?
Yeah, I would say for daily, like just hacks and things like that, the daily drop is pretty good in terms of just kind of they're more so. a little bit more like for expert level as well, but what I like about it is that they kind of level it down just so you can understand it very easily.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning stuff that, I'm learning better ways to teach people even from just reading their newsletters because it's the way people understand it versus I'm in the space all the time. And so I need to, kind of level it down so that people can understand what I'm talking about. So
Yeah,
I
you
think
gotta
that
always
that
be
is
accessible.
exactly that's a good one to follow. And yeah, where can people find me? You can follow me on LinkedIn, just my name, Julian Fung. You'll find my profile. And I also have a website, so it's called moneyorlife.co. So moneyorlife.co. And there are all the resources you need there. There's a free guide for how I actually hacked 30 days in Europe for under $300. And it's 4 or 5 star hotels. I did the same thing in South Africa. So yeah, grab a copy and reach out anytime if I can help with anything.
Well, I know it's only Monday, but this is already the highlight of my week, Julie, and I really appreciate you spending your Memorial Day with me. Where did you just come back from? I feel like it'd be remiss if I didn't share.
Yeah, so my wife and I went to Nicaragua just about 2 weeks ago, and then we came back a week ago. So it's a week-long trip, and it was the stays were all on points, and it was kind of a semi-private island experience
Wow.
that we booked through Hyatt. So yeah, that was super exciting. It was very adventure driven as well. Like, in order to get to paradise, the path to get to paradise is pretty arduous. So very exciting times. But once you got there, amazing stuff. There was only six villas at the island, and there's at any given time you could have 12 guests. When we were there, we had anywhere from 8 to 10 guests, including us, at the same time, and it was like an 11-acre island. So not
Wow.
not like huge, but it's enough space for everybody to be like having their own place
Getaway.
on their beach. Yeah, exactly. And no, it was great, and we didn't have to pay anything because it was going to be our room rates were about almost $5,000 a night, and we just used points to book it, like 40,000 points a night to book it. So that was amazing.
Well, Julian, this is a superpower that I need to develop myself because that sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for the time today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.